DC Universe Online is a free-to-play action combat superhero MMORPG based on the fictional universe of DC Comics. It was developed in 2011 in cooperation between Dimensional Ink Games and the Daybreak Game Company, and was published in cooperation with Warner Bros. Games and Sony Interactive. The game runs on Unreal Engine 3 and allows players to create their own superhero or supervillain from the ground up, deciding on the perfect look and the superpowers that will make their character truly awesome. While creating your hero or villain, you also get to decide who your mentor will be. So as a supervillain, do you have Lex Luthor show you the ropes, or do you choose the Joker or someone else? It's an MMORPG that starts you off with plenty of options and decisions. The game contains questing, dungeons, PvP, and a very in-depth transmog system. By default, the game will start with VSync turned on in your video settings, which will lock your frames per second at 30. Disable this option as soon as you can, and you will find yourself having a much more enjoyable experience. Those who are fans of the DC Universe comics will most likely love this game, but the question then becomes, what about the rest of us? With a real lack of free-to-play superhero games out there, especially ones themed behind a popular franchise, we have to wonder, is this game worthy of the DC Universe name, and is it worth your time and hard drive space to give it a try now? Let us find out together in this ×2 review. Hey guys, Extermicide here, and I'm with my buddy Ark.
Hi guys, how you doing today?
And it's time for another ×2 review, and this time we are doing DC Universe Online. Gotta ask the usual question, bud, did you ever play this game back in the day?
I have never played this before, ever.
DC Universe Online, created in 2011, uses the Unreal Engine 3. Published by Warner Bros. And Sony Interactive, and developed by Daybreak Game Company and Dimensional Ink Games. Never heard of them, I think this is the only game they ever made. Yeah, a superhero MMORPG. So this should be a little bit interesting. Well, we're at the character creation. Let's dive right in. I'm gonna go ahead and select female.
Okay, I will go with the male.
They give you all sorts of freaking options here. Now, you can do a custom build, or you can do inspired by a certain villain or hero. That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna go custom.
Select a hero or villain morality.
We're gonna go villain, right?
Select a personality to determine
We're
sexual
gonna go
behavior.
Primal, comical, powerful, flirty. Magic, meta, or tech.
Go mental.
Wow, so many choices, and a lot of them are really good.
Yeah. Go mental and flight.
I'm gonna go munitions for shits and giggles. Let's see. DC Universe Online downloadable packs add even more fun to your game. Lock load, blah blah blah. You can use this power when creating new characters, or switch existing characters to it with a power respect token. So I cannot choose the munitions. Even though you're playing a free-to-play game, they have certain abilities here not available unless you opt in and start paying money right away.
Select weapon specialties from available data.
See, one of the movements is called skimming, which is kind of like Silver Surfer, and that one you have to buy.
Okay.
Select weapon specialties from
in a free-to-play
data.
game, when you're trying to build your ultimate hero or your ultimate villain, that's a personal choice, and the abilities for that should be given to you right from the get-go. That's not
Right.
where they should be trying to make their money.
Yeah. They're kind of bottlenecking you in a way, like, okay, here are your fine choices here, but then if you pay, then obviously more doors open and more opportunity, and you can really customize your guy and everything.
Successful.
I click start game. Got a cutscene going here.
Okay.
The center of the multiverse. It will belong to Brainiac. I do not plan an invasion, rather an assimilation. I have identified key junctions in Earth's vast nexus of knowledge. These I will capture and digitize first. Of course, some non-essential information may be captured as well. This will be sorted and purged once the digitizing is complete. Earth's resistance does not concern me. There is no intellect strong enough, or power brutal enough to resist me. Soon this planet and all it contains will be mine. Intriguing. There is an anomaly in Earth's atmosphere. Beginning analysis. These exobytes are my own technology, each one holding unknown stores of digitized power from Earth's future. My harvester ships will simply reclaim the data provided by these exobytes and seal Earth's fate. This is a new obstacle. These humans resist my assimilation. My conversion units cannot hold them. Let the humans use their powers. In the end, they too will belong to Brainiac.
So being that the cutscenes are all done like comic style, it's probably one of the reasons why the game has lasted so long.
I think it looks pretty good so far.
Lex Luthor, if you want to live, come with me and be quiet. We don't want to alert Brainiac's sentries.
Introductions, Lex.
My associate Calculator will help
So-
us navigate our way through the ship.
I chose
You can trust him
Lex
as much as you can
Luthor
trust
as my
anyone.
mentor accidentally, I guess.
Thanks, Lex.
Oh, boy.
Take a walk around, and then talk
okay.
to Lex when you can move on.
Find out what happens.
While we're here, we're going to sabotage the ship and send Brainiac a message not to mess with Lex Luthor at any point in time.
party crashers on the way.
So at what point
Move into position.
I thought I said to be
you're
quiet.
at?
Hey, again, I couldn't hear you with all the
I look
combat.
forward to a new future, one without you.
Well, I just didn't know what point do we meet up and stuff.
up!
Not sure. I mean, did you already finish your whole mentorship thing?
I'm still working on it right now.
Okay, I'm sure it's not till after
So
that.
that is an overseer. They patrol parts of the ship and protect it from people like you. Be a pal and destroy it, won't you?
So I gained a new ability. Well, this kind of feels like a tutorial to me.
It really does. This might be like the smaller version, or maybe something, I don't know.
You pushed me.
I think you've been recruited. Brainiac is threatening our world, but only we get to do that. If you and Lex destroy the ship's central AI core, we disable the ship. Sure, Brainiac has other ships, but this puts him on notice and may slow his invasion.
Well, I see there's a guy here with me. I'm not sure. Professor Zoom and
You want to be a hero?
Sinestro.
I gotta
Well,
turn
I
the
don't-
audio like almost all the way down because I can't even hear you.
How dare you?
Some of our associates from the Hall of Doom are attacking this ship. They'll distract Brainiac and buy you some time, but don't slack off.
You're in my way. You'll have to do better. This won't stop me. How dare you?
Stop, human. Minor damage.
Tell you what, if Lex wasn't leading the damn way, I'd have been dead already.
Oh, no
He's
kidding.
doing a bulk of the work.
Consider this a hostile takeover.
Damage detected. Repairs initiated. Repairs initiated. Systems
My guy's like a little blender, man. He's just tearing everybody up.
detected.
That's a lot of robots. The resale value of all that alien metal would be out of this world. No pun intended. Hold on, they're starting to activate. That's not good. I'll get Professor Zoom and Sinestro over there to help you fight them.
Attack.
The only downside I see to this game so far is that you have to constantly click your click your mouse button to attack. When I mean, it would have been just so much easier to just be able to hold it down, though.
What are you doing? A melee attack?
Yeah.
That's why I have pistols, so all I gotta do is hold the button down and she just constantly fires.
This won't stop me!
Not a fan of this third person looking over the shoulder type thing though, because it's kind of hard to aim.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to do better.
It's like you're standing still!
Sinestro and Zoom are off to destroy the ship's gun. Gotta respect Brainiac's commitment to overwhelming force.
Now level 3.
Wonderful. My readings show a full-scale invasion force aboard. We have to destroy this ship.
So you went with Joker, I went with Lex. Are you on Brainiac's ship and you're fighting all these robots?
You pushed me to my limit.
Minor damage. Minor damage.
All units move into position. Contain the human.
takeover.
Performance impaired. Minor damage. What are you doing in here?
You're in my way.
All units move into position. Contain the human.
Damage sustained. System damage. Performance impaired. Minor damage.
Good. There's the central AI core. How did Cersei and the Joker get there before you? Oh, whatever. She's a sorceress and he's the Joker. Go help them destroy that thing. Stay alert. This is sure to get Brainiac's
Alright, I'm at the core. I'm at the core and I just found Cersei and the Joker.
You'll have to do better.
And there's Brainiac. God, I hate being
I'm sitting here fighting these guys for freaking ever, not realizing you just had to freaking destroy the core.
Breaking apart, but I can't open a
I did the same thing.
Kick me out of the systems. You'll have to defeat him if you don't want to go down with the ship.
I'm like, man, this is just taking a long time.
You're not going to take over my Earth today, tomorrow, or any day.
Damage sustained.
Performance impaired.
This won't stop me! How dare you!
Minor damage.
Oh, got me! Oh!
Do not think you have won, for I wear many shells. I am the source.
You are stronger than I thought, but you've got a lot to learn. Work for me.
That I do.
And I will teach you how to control your new powers. Maybe even enhance them.
That was intense. You've got some killer moves, seriously. Ready to leave the ship now? I'll contact you once you're on the ground.
And teleporting off the ship.
Brainiac, an alien intelligence determined to steal my planet. Deadly and unstoppable. Until a broken man with my face came from the future and released the key to my triumph. New villains, armed with Earth's strongest power.
What's your guy's name?
With them,
I'm in a
I
cutscene.
will take back my planet for humanity. No matter who stands in my way. I am Lex Luthor. May the best man win.
Well, I made the headlines. All right,
Nice.
Extermicide.
Okay.
Alrighty, are you ready to score this?
Yes, I am.
All right, 0 through 10 for each of the scoring. First, we start off with graphics, and I'll go first. I've actually played this game before, so it was Unreal 3 engine, and that was a decade ago. It could really use a graphical update, but considering how old the freaking game is, I don't think we'll ever see an update to this game. They're not horrible. They are comic-y, you know, so they are what they are. I'm gonna go with a 5 for graphics.
For me, I really enjoyed them. Yeah, they're dated. We know that. I really didn't have an issue with it. I think because it kind of gives you that World of Warcraft type of smooth-edged. Just I don't know. I really it wasn't to me. I really didn't see that being an issue for me. I'm gonna give it. I think I'm just gonna give it like a 6 or something like that. I think that's fair.
Next is sound and music. Why don't you go ahead and take this?
I didn't, again, when it comes to me, I grade everything based on how much it irritates me. And I didn't have any problem whatsoever with it. It tied in well with what I was doing. I'm just going to be right down the middle line with this. Just going to go with the number 5.
Sound effects I thought were pretty much on par for everything that was going on. The voice acting in the game was it was a crapshoot. So, sometimes some of the narration, especially like I had Lex Luger mentoring me, you had the Joker, so you and I had two very different experiences. But Lex was explaining everything I needed to do, and he was explaining it pretty well, and that was pretty much well acted. But I did find like a side quest giver, and just the way his voice would talk to you, it was like really out of place. And so the voice acting isn't freaking perfect in the game. It's dated. I get it. This game came out a long time ago, and the fact that it actually has full-fledged voice acting should be commended, I guess. Yeah. Music wasn't bad at all either. It was playing lightly in the background. I turned that way down, but it was the right type of feeling for what was going on in the game and everything. So sound and music, I'm gonna fall with a 7. Next we have story. You want to take this one?
Yeah, I can take it. Honestly, I mean, you had the dialogue in the very beginning when you first started. It shows you how it all started and the reasonings, and I really got into that part. But for me, as soon as I got into the actual, when I got into talking to Joker, starting to do the quest, I think for myself, I didn't really read a whole lot when it came to the actual like storyline itself. It's just like, all right, go here, do this, go this, do that, and really once you get past certain amount of quests, you actually do have a sequence of cutscenes that I think that's where they give you the feeling of how the of the storyline, I guess. So, I think for myself, I'm probably just going to give it a 6.
The game itself starts off with this awesome freaking cinematic that's very, very long, and we did not show it in this video because it would just it's a very long cinematic, but B, it's something that you should really experience for yourself because it's one hell of a freaking good cinematic. Today, we see cinematics that are of that caliber all the time. So today it's kind of, it's still good. It still gets the basis down as to why we are a superhero now, and we're not relying on the big ones like Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman, why we are taking up the freaking reins to do all this. So your mentor freaking walks you through his little personal quest, his vendetta. He's having you do certain things that are kind of not related to the whole big story. It's kind of like his own personal things to kind of start leveling you up and guide you in the right direction. But there is a story there that if you're a comic book fanatic and you love these characters, you're going to get sucked into this. You're going to like what's going on, and you're going to appreciate the fact that they're giving you some kind of a comic book story to go along with your character. So you fell on a 6. I think I'm going to actually fall right there on a 6 with you. Next is combat. I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. Combat, to me, felt... I really don't know how to word this, because it's not without its issues, but it's not great either. You would think for a game that's this old, the combat would just be a little bit more refined. And I think I probably had an easier time than you, because I set my character up to be kind of a ranged fighter where you were up close melee. And even as a ranged fighter, trying to put my target on the things I was trying to shoot didn't always seem to line up correctly. And that over the shoulder third person view, that just kind of makes it a little bit more tedious than it need to be. I don't know. Combat is okay. It does the freaking job, but it's not perfect. I'm going to land directly on a 5 with this one.
So for me, combat was, if they had it so that you can auto click, like just hold down the click button and do it, I think that would have been awesome. But I just didn't. I mean, I can see myself, if I play this for a long time, I can see myself getting carpal tunnel. I'm not lying, in my hand, just because the amount of just click, and I would change up trying to go with the number key just to do the special moves. But I see myself even doing that too. And I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, I think, and yes, it's a dated game. It's not going to have it. So obviously bear that in mind if you're going to be playing this. And also with the combat, I think after a while, I mean, to me, it was just, you've got 3 different locations. Each zone has the same thing. It's just crowded with everybody. You're just going, it's just, I don't know. I myself wasn't really impressed with the combat. It got monotonous even after a short amount of time. So I don't really care for this. So I'm just going to give it probably maybe like a 4 or something for that.
Next, that puts us on gameplay. I always say one of the first things with gameplay is, did we have fun playing this? Did we enjoy ourselves? And I can honestly say, to an extent, okay, this would be a game. It's not horrible, but it's not great. It's somewhere in the freaking middle, but it's also very niche. If you are a DC fan, you're gonna love this game. If you want a superhero MMO, there's a couple others out there, but unfortunately, I think of the ones that are out there that actually exist, this is probably the better one. This is probably the best one. So people who love DC and they love freaking superheroes and they want an MMORPG that revolves around that are probably going to absolutely adore this game. And it has a big freaking fandom still going on. There's a lot of people running around in this freaking game right now. It's not a dead game, but the gameplay is what you would expect from your typical MMO. There's nothing, remember how old it is, so it's basically nothing is like, there's nothing that's thinking outside the box except for the theming of it being superhero based. I'm gonna fall on a 6.
So when it came to gameplay for me, I really didn't feel like I had fun. And even though I got kind of enthralled into the character creation and the different colors you can add to them, and I love the idea of being able to fly and doing everything, I just think that you're really still like, you're boxed in. And I don't like that feeling. Like, not to say it's a linear thing, but I just felt like you've got 3 sections, and each section you got just a mess pool of just random people just running around killing each other. I didn't really see like this could be an MMO, because it's you're boxed in. You really are. And so I think the game, after a while, at least to me, if like what you said, if you aren't a huge super fan, then I think that you're I think that you get bored with this eventually, and that's just my opinion on it. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Next is character creation. Why don't you go ahead and take this first?
Okay. I think out of everything, this is the part that really gets me excited about the game, is the fact that you can create male, female, and your character can evolve over time and become better and really have a huge customization between skill sets and whatever. When we got into, at least when I got into the lobby where I saw other people playing, it was super cool to see all these different, really, you can see other people's personalities of how they built their own characters and stuff. And I thought that was really amazing. When you got into the actual wardrobe, yet limited, I still really enjoyed it. Just being able to change all the slide bars and being able to change all the colors and stuff like that. So for me, having lots of options and having a lot of flexibility doing with what I want to do, that's the things that I really enjoy. And so I'm actually going to get a high one for that one. So I'm just going to give it an 8.
For character creation, for me, I thought it was there was a lot of options. So everything from, okay, so you start off with your male, female, okay, your type of travel being anything from flight to running speed to warping around to whatever. The costumes, everything from let's show skin to let's be completely freaking covered, let's have a helmet on, no helmet, glasses. There was a lot of freaking options, and you could actually probably spend a good hour or two in the character customization, making the perfect character. While running around, I mean, there's actually people who've actually spent time and created Marvel characters, and they look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Even though this is a DC freaking game, so I'm actually pretty impressed with the character customization. However, what I wasn't impressed with is there were certain abilities or certain weapons or certain skill sets for the character customization that were locked behind a paywall. And this is where the person is supposed to let their inner hero or inner villain shine, and you build them, and and now you're going to put restraints on them. I can choose flying around as my superpower, but I couldn't choose running speed. So what makes running speed more freaking, important that it needs to be behind a cash wall, where flying, in my opinion, flying is easier. Just go over the freaking buildings, not around them and all that crap.
Right.
So it's a matter of freaking opinion, but yet they're putting price tags on certain items, and I just don't totally agree with that. So I'm gonna kind of land here in the freaking middle with this again. I'm gonna go with I want to go 5, but there is a lot of cool options to play with, so I'm going to actually bump it up a little bit and go with a 6 on this one. Next is population. I'll go ahead and start this one off. Population, there was just people all over the place. And you and I spawned in 2 different cities. You spawned in Gotham. I spawned in Metropolis. When I was trying to figure out how to get to you, I noticed there was like lots of freaking different channels of people, and it was actually showing how many people were in each of the channels. The game is populated. So if you're coming into this, don't worry, it's not a dead game. And I'm sure there's guilds out there, clans, whatever they freaking call it in this game, because one of the things that you do in this game is dungeons. You run these dungeons and fight these super bosses, just like any other MMO. So it's not a dead game by any means. This is probably one of the ones where I'm probably going to give one of my highest scores. I'm going to go with a 9 here on the population. I was pretty impressed for a game being this old that I actually had a real steady population that I could see.
All right. So for me, it was busy, but it wasn't hugely busy. In considering the fact that the hub that I first came into, where people were just standing around, it wasn't like it was super packed, but I don't know, maybe there might be a limitation of that. Okay, so you can only have so many people in that room before they probably put you in another instance or something like that, maybe.
You can only have, I think, 20 people per instance.
All right, so with that being said, then I did see people, but it was very sporadic. And so it actually might be based on the people they're using to mentor. Maybe they like the Lex Luthor or that type of thing, because I saw people, but it wasn't a whole lot of people for the Joker side of it. So maybe that might have been a factor that why I didn't see many people maybe as you have. So I'm going to go with an 8.
All right, that brings us to UI and menus. Go ahead, you take this one first.
Okay, so for the AI and the The UI in the menu, I didn't like it. I'm sorry. It was not. I was struggling just to try to do simple things. There's an icon where there's a mailbox, and I could not figure out how to get my cursor to move just so I can go up there and click on that. And that should be a simple thing for me to understand. And yes, the UI itself wasn't bad. I mean, you can kind of, just by default, you can hit every letter and eventually you're going to figure it out. But that really stuck with me with the whole cursor thing, because I can imagine that other people were having the same problem until they figured it out or someone told them, whatever. But it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. So I'm just going to give it a 7.
Well, you're actually a lot more generous than I am, and you actually had more freaking problems because honestly, you're right. You know, being able to pull up your cursor to click on something should not be something that you have to sit there and try to figure out. It shouldn't be confusing at all. It should just be something that is very simple to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the basic nature of using a freaking computer. You know, it's like, why go off on a different path and make things so freaking different that they have to be overly complicated? I mean, when you got your skills and they were put on your bar down there, it was the simple, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are your freaking skills. That part of it was freaking easy, but press and hold E to talk to someone, and you have that little timer that go is just tedious shit like that. I should be able just to press E and just start talking to the guy, instead of filling up the damn bar with the timer. I understand the timer bit if you're interacting with an item. It's like, okay, it's going to take a couple seconds for me to interact with this thing, but just going up and talking to someone, I just thought it was kind of, for lack of a better term, asinine. We'll just leave it at that. So I don't think the UI needed to be as difficult as it was. Going into the actual menus of it, they were decently laid out for as old as the game is. They're not perfect. They did support my ultra wide monitor in there as a resolution. However, even that wasn't perfect because it was kind of like off-centering stuff on the far left of my screen off the screen a little bit, something they need to work on. But then again, this kind of resolution didn't exist back then when they made this game. But the fact that they've actually upgraded the game enough to recognize it,
right?
It's kind of like they went and updated it half-ass. It's like either recognize it or don't. Don't recognize it, and yeah, but it's not going to be perfect, but it's kind of there.
Close enough. Close enough.
So UI and menus, I just overall wasn't really freaking impressed with. I'm going to land in the middle. I'm going to go with a 5. And next week, that brings us to chat spam. I'll let you go with this one first. Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the only thing that I saw when it came to chat spam was just gold farming. And I didn't see any chat. That was just me. There was no movement other than gold. And maybe because we're in a time in our lives where Discordia and Ventrilo and all these different programs where your friends, if they want to get together, we can just jump in that and we'll talk on that instead of just chatting. So we might, maybe other games back 20 years ago, that was our only form of communication. That would have just been riddled with spam and people were talking. But now with a whole new way of communications, that might be just a thing of the past now. So for chat spam, I'm not really feeling that one. So I'm actually going right down the middle. I'm giving it a 5.
Again, you're actually being a lot more generous than me.
Yeah.
Chat farm. These are the only messages I saw. Not once did I see a single message from an actual person. And even if one was to pop up on the screen, the chat spam messages were going so damn fast that no one would have been able to freaking see. If someone was trying to ask like a legit question, hey, how do you do this? It would have just scrolled off the screen real quick and no one would have freaking saw it. So the poor guy would have never got an answer. You would think for a game that's this old, Sony would have freaking done something by now to eliminate the chat spam. I don't know if there's mods available for this game. I don't even know if this game even allows for mods, because I'm sure there's probably a mod that would disable the chat spam, probably, hopefully. And maybe it doesn't exist as much when you get to the later levels. Who the hell knows? But from what I saw, it was nonstop chat spam, and to make it worse, it was nothing more than freaking gold farmers. So chat to me was as bad as it could possibly freaking be. I'm going with a 0.
Holy moly. You just laid the hammer down that one.
And this brings us to Cash Shop Pay to Win. And go ahead. I'll let you take this one first.
Okay, so the Cash Shop, I'm going to give it a 3 just right off the bat. And the reason why is because I feel like I could really see myself with certain changes of the game. I can see myself really enjoying this. I can see myself getting involved and really getting immersed into my character and really creating the character the way that I want it to be, but not that I have to pay to get there. And I think there could be a better way, but I understand this being an older game. This is really maybe their only way of getting the money and everything and so forth. But I'm not a fan of restriction, and so I don't think that I should have to pay in order to enjoy the game. And so I think there's some things they can be doing that could be free and get you a little bit further along. And if you want other things like maybe DLC outfits that color things, but not the actual gameplay. So I'm gonna give it a 3.
So Cash Shop Pay to Win for me. So everybody knows that I'm not big on anything that's pay to win. And this game actually leans more on a pay to play mechanic, I think. So the game comes out with new content still. They come out with new dungeons that you can go in and fight the big baddies. This would be like in other MMOs. This is what you would consider to be the new expansion pack that came out. Except you're going to, it's a dungeon and you're going to purchase that dungeon. Now, where the pay to win comes into play is if you are coming into this as a free-to-play player and you're playing, you're going to want to level your character up. You're going to want to gear them up, and you're going to run dungeons, and you're going to get the gear, and it's going to take time, and you're going to work your way up. But you're never going to have the best freaking gear, because the best gear, where is that? It's in the latest expansion pack that came out. And guess what? The only way you're going to get in that dungeon is if you buy it. So if you don't buy it, you're not going to have a chance to even get the best gear, the best weapons, and you just kind of crap out of luck. So at that point, it's no longer free to play. It's pay to play. I'm going to have to frown on that. I mean, on the plus side, there's nothing in the cash shop that you can buy that's going to give you a huge advantage, except a utility belt, which is in superhero language, more bag space. I have a problem with Elder Scrolls Online with this too, with selling inventory space, which is something that should come in a game from the get-go out of the freaking box. It should not be something you should have to buy. I don't believe in that. And yes, I don't care what MMORPG you're playing. If you limit the inventory space, it's going to make it a miserable experience for people. And I'm sure that's what they want. They want to make it a little bit miserable for you. So you sit there and you fork out the money and buy more inventory space. So now you don't have to sell as often. Your inventory is not getting filled up as often, as quickly as it was. Granted, it's cool that the game has stayed alive this long and everything, but I don't think they've had to go the route that they've gone. But limiting from the very beginning, like we said with when you're building your character, limiting what skills you can choose because it's behind a cache wall, or let's limit your inventory space and you have to buy that. I'm just against those things. So just like you, I'm gonna go ahead and land on a freaking 3 there. All right, so adding my totals together, I came up with a total of 52.
I added mine up and I came up with a total of 55.
Adding those totals together, we get a total of 107. And dividing it by 2, because there's 2 of us playing, gives us a final score of 53.5. Which gives us a final letter grade of... With a grade of D, this game is considered below average. It is not completely horrible, and it is playable, but it falls very short in many areas, especially by today's standards. If you can overlook some of its flaws, then you might find that this game is tolerable. There are definitely better games out there to try, but if you have already tried a majority of them, then who knows, maybe this game will be that hidden treasure that will keep you entertained for a while. Anyways, that's it for our ×2 review for this game. We hope you enjoyed it and found it informative, and we will catch you again on the next ×2 review.